Hiya, I'm Bruce Fummey. I've been really busy at the Fringe World Festival in Western Australia, but today's my day off. So let's say it's the 13th of February. For those of you that watch these clips for the jokes, I have to warn you that today there are no jokes. You see, because in this day in 1692 in Glencoe there was a massacre. Some troops under the command of Robert Campbell of Glenlyon had been living with the MacDonalds of Glencoe. Why? Because the MacDonalds hadn't paid their taxes, and so they'd been told that they had to feed and billet these soldiers in payment of their taxes. And so for the last 2 weeks they'd fed these soldiers, they'd played cards together, they'd drunk together, they'd hunted together. And then at 5 o'clock on this day in Scottish history, these soldiers burst into the rooms of the clan chief and they shot him dead. The plan was to kill every man, woman and child in an infamous act of genocide that would wipe out the MacDonalds of Glencoe. As it happened, the troops that were supposed to arrive from Fort William hadn't got through the snow, and so they weren't able to block off the ends of the glen, and that's how some of the MacDonalds managed to get free. However, by the time that Robert Campbell of Glenlyon and his men were finished, 70 MacDonalds lay dead. Oh, so this was a clan warfare between the Campbells and the MacDonalds. That's what would have you believe. No, this was a massacre instigated by William III of England and the II of Scotland against his own people. You see, 4 years before that, what the English call the Glorious Revolution, 7 English parliamentarians had invited a Dutchman called William of Orange to invade in order to overthrow James VII, the rightful king, suppress Catholics and impose a Protestant succession. You're not shocked by that? Okay, let's say that British Muslims invited the Iranian Revolutionary Guard to come and overthrow your queen and impose Islamic law. Now I've got your attention. See, because you're probably the kind of person that would show loyalty to your monarch and to your religion. And that's why you would be one of the people that would be trying to hold out to fight a rear guard action. But then, this foreign king and his religious support give you an ultimatum. That if you don't swear loyalty to him by the 1st of January 1692, then your last breath will be taken in an appropriately coloured orange jumpsuit in front of a video camera. You wouldn't have a choice. And so you leave your home in Glencoe and you head for Fort William. Fort William, a fort in your Highland country named in their English language after this foreign king. See, in your own Gaelic language, it's simply called Angerriston, the garrison. And you arrive at Angerriston on the 31st of December in 1691, in time to sign your declaration. But Lieutenant Colonel John Hill, the governor of Fort William, tells you you can't sign it here. You have to go to Inverary. And so you fight your way through the winter weather, knowing that there's no way you can get to Inverary in time to meet the deadline. And of course, you're late. And when some troops arrive on your land several weeks later, demanding to be fed and to be given bed and breakfast in return for the taxes that you haven't paid, you think nothing of it. You see, you're not the only clan chief that has missed that deadline. Yeah? Your richer and more powerful cousins, the MacDonalds of Glengarry, you know, the ones that've got the castle and the many men at arms, they didn't sign in time for the deadline. Yeah? The Macleans still haven't signed yet. They're still negotiating with the authorities. So there's nothing to worry about, is there? The thing is that you're small in numbers, you're lacking in resources, you have to raid cattle just in order to survive. You're easy to make an example of. That's why you've got something to worry about. You see, this foreign king wants the Highland problem sorted once and for all. He wants his focus, his troops and his attention to be back home in Flanders, where he's fighting those nasty Catholics in France. And so King William III signs the order. John Dalrymple, the Secretary of State for Scotland, passes on that order to extirpate your clan from the face of the earth. Thomas Livingstone, who's in charge of the army in Scotland, he agrees the order. Lieutenant Colonel John Hill, whom you tried to sign with on the 31st of December, he's not happy. He procrastinates, but ultimately he fears for his own job. Colonel Hamilton, an ambitious and unscrupulous man, he has no compunction, and he comes up with the idea of billeting the soldiers on your land so that they can snap the trap. And a day before the massacre, the order comes down to Robert Campbell of Glenlyon with an instruction and a warning what will happen if he doesn't carry through on the order that he's been given. Now, some of his junior officers, they do refuse to carry out this heinous murder. And because of weather, the enthusiastic Hamilton doesn't get to the head of the glen in order to cut it off. And that's how most of your clan managed to escape. But you, Alistair MacIan, lie dead with 12 of your men and more than 50 women and children. Ordered by the king that you gave your allegiance to just 6 weeks ago. Decent people were horrified, and eventually there was an inquiry. But of course the inquiry didn't blame the king. It was the Campbells who faced the disgust of the people about this atrocity. You see, how could the king be blamed? Because as the inquiry report said, a soldier should refuse to obey an order that's given if it's against human nature. Presumably, even if that order is accompanied by a letter warning you the consequences of what will happen if you don't follow through. There have been loads of inquiries since then. I'm sure there'll be more in the future. There'll probably be more atrocities. And I guess it's down to us to look out and to make a stand and make sure the real perpetrators are found out. If you've got any thoughts on inquiries that have or haven't found the real perpetrators, then why not make a comment in the section below. More importantly, spread this and share it as widely as possible. Otherwise, they win. This has been Bruce Fummey on this day in Scottish history.